Esther, a journey of courage and faith. Esther's story unfolds in the vast Persian Empire, a kingdom known for its immense wealth and power, ruled by King Xerxes. Born into a Jewish family, Esther faced tragedy early in life, losing both her parents. Her cousin Mordecai, a compassionate and wise man, took her in and raised her as his own. They lived among the Jewish community in exile, quietly following their faith. Esther had no idea that her life was about to take a dramatic and extraordinary turn. At the heart of the empire, King Xerxes faced his own challenge. After a public dispute with Queen Vashti, the king decided to remove her from her position, setting the stage for a search for a new queen. Messengers were sent across the land to bring young women to the palace, and among them was Esther. Though she was modest and unassuming, her beauty and kind spirit caught the attention of everyone she met. Mordecai, understanding the potential danger of revealing her heritage, advised her to keep her Jewish identity a secret. When Esther was presented to King Xerxes, she immediately won his favor. Her grace and charm stood out among the other candidates, and the king chose her to be his new queen. She was crowned and elevated to a position of great influence, though she remained quiet about her background, as Mordecai had instructed. While Esther adjusted to life in the palace, trouble was brewing. Haman, one of King Xerxes' most powerful officials, was consumed by arrogance and demanded that all bow before him as a sign of respect. Mordecai, a devout Jew, refused to comply, believing such an act would violate his faith. Haman's pride turned to fury, and he decided to take revenge, not just on Mordecai, but on all the Jews in the empire. Haman approached King Xerxes with a cunning plan. He painted the Jewish people as a threat to the empire and convinced the king to issue a decree for their destruction. Unaware of the true consequences, Xerxes agreed, sealing the decree with his royal ring. When word of this decree spread, despair and fear gripped the Jewish community. Mordecai, stricken with grief, tore his clothes in mourning and sent a desperate message to Esther, urging her to intervene on behalf of her people. Esther was terrified. In Persian law, approaching the king without being summoned could result in death, even for the queen. She hesitated, knowing the risks, but Mordecai's words gave her courage. Do not think that because you live in the king's palace, you will escape. Perhaps you have been placed in this position for such a time as this? After much thought, Esther decided to act. She asked Mordecai and the Jewish community to fast and pray for her for 3 days. She too prayed for strength and clarity. On the 3rd day, she put on her royal robes and went to see the king. The moment was tense, but when Xerxes saw her, he extended his golden scepter, a sign that she was welcome to speak. Instead of directly addressing the decree, Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet. During this feast, she remained composed and requested their presence at another banquet the following day. Meanwhile, that night, the king experienced a bout of insomnia. To pass the time, he had the royal records read to him and discovered that Mordecai had once saved his life by uncovering a plot against him. Realizing that Mordecai had never been rewarded, the king decided to honor him. The next morning, Haman, who was already planning Mordecai's execution, was summoned by the king. To his dismay, the king ordered Haman to lead a grand procession honoring Mordecai, a bitter irony that further fueled Haman's humiliation. At the second banquet, Esther revealed her true identity to the king and made an emotional plea. "If I have found favor in your sight, O king," she said, "spare my life and the lives of my people, for we are to be destroyed." She exposed Haman's plot, shocking the king. Enraged, Xerxes ordered Haman's execution, and he was hanged on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. Though Haman was gone, the original decree could not be revoked under Persian law. However, Esther and Mordecai worked with the king to issue a new decree that allowed the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies. When the fateful day arrived, the Jewish people stood united and successfully protected themselves. Their courage, coupled with Esther's bravery, turned a potential tragedy into a moment of triumph. Mordecai was elevated to a position of great influence in the empire, and the Jewish people celebrated their survival with joy and gratitude. Esther's courage and faith saved her people and solidified her legacy as a heroine. This story is a powerful reminder of the importance of courage and faith in the face of adversity. Esther's journey from an orphaned exile to a queen who risked her life for her people is an inspiring testament to the idea that we are often placed in positions for a greater purpose. Her willingness to step forward, despite her fears, changed the fate of an entire nation and continues to inspire generations to stand up for what is right.